And here we go. Baku, round 1 of 18, and Assist Tier 1 season is underway. Josh needs to reconnect, and his AI has given him a pretty handy start there. Into the lead, Josh's AI takes him past Scuderia, down the inside into turn 1. Plenty of action going on in the background. We've got a pass of Padge, who is ghosted as Scuderia gets back past Josh on the run down to turn 3. And we got 10-10 down the inside of TD. These two in a party together, so I imagine if there's a big crash, we will hear the scream from here. The other four, Aya, Joseph, Ray, and Greg in 16th, all opting for the hard ties first. So here comes Josh, making moves, taking names. Past both Aston Martins now. Could be a really competitive battle for the Aston Martins there. Zidane versus Colucci. That could be a very good team battle. We span a wheel last week and it spat out Baku to kick things off. And we are still early doors, but it's still very exciting. Mr. Wiggles now making way back up into third, past Platty in. I imagine if these gaps continue to stay on the trend we're seeing. Oh, I think Platty's made a mistake. He lost a huge amount of time. Oh, I think he lost it. I don't think he got tapped. I think Asmafrog was too far back there. I think Platty has just made a bit of a mistake. Maybe those rear tyres are too hot. But he is. I'm good, just practicing for my league race tomorrow, so thought I'd have some league racing to enjoy in the background. Mate, completely get where you're coming from. We've got Hissy causing a yellow flag at the end of the castle section. We're going to stay with this fight for now. Feel like. Oh, big slide from 10-10. Catches it well, doesn't lose too much time. Oh, and Snacks making a mistake out of turn 12. Spinning the car. Very unfortunate for Snacks. And a VSC. So VSC will calm things down slightly. It'll be hard compound tyres. Josh pits, Colucci pits. This VSC has forced a whole load of pit stops now. As the VSC ends, this might be a smart decision, pitting early. And DRS proving very effective once again, as we all know. And 10-10 is finally past Asmafrog into turn 3. It looks like 10-10 had to bide his time, but potentially might be making some inroads onto a possible top 4 or top 5 finish. Remember, Carito was 4th when he pitted, currently in 13th and approaching the back of Greg in 12th. Will he be getting past Platty in the same area of track? Not on this occasion. What we want to do is come out of the pits with cold tyres into a battle and lose out because the tyres aren't toasty enough yet. Oh, and Platty's out! Platty is out of this race. Oh, and that is a very common area. Full course safety car number 2 this evening. Indicated everything I just said about the top 2 pitting into a gap. Everyone is boxing. Wiggles stays out. And will Wiggles get the leads? No, Scuderia and Deflated maintain the top 2 positions. Wiggles comes out in third where he was. Carito comes out in fourth where he was. Accelerate, and he's gone for it now. And he's got a good enough chunk of time on deflated wee. That's my frog. Held up 10-10 for a good part of 8 laps in the opening of this race. Look to try and get back past 10-10. But I've been really impressed with Asma Frog this season so far. Just quicker tyres in this portion of the race. Asma brakes as late as he can, leaves the space. Good overtake for Joseph. Nice solid move on the outside of turn 3. Attacking Colucci, and Aya on the extreme inside going into turn 1. Brakes late, forces TD to have the outside route, but TD actually might want the outside route. Put some ERS on, I'm sure, out of turn 1 and gets that move done. Double overtake there for TD. Ray pits, Sonny pits. Ray retires. That's 10-10. Get past to Carito down into turn 1. Very close here between Joseph, Carito, 10-10. Of Scuderia. Where you can see the steering wheel, at least part of it. He's not using any ERS. And another full course safety car. And what on earth has happened here then? People pitting. Sonny has left. Has Sonny retired? Sonny has retired in the castle section. Stays out. Asma Frog stays out. Scuderia, soft tyres. Deflated wee mediums. Wiggles for the mediums. And 10-10 for the softs. Josh for the softs. I get you. So race back underway. As predicted, into the pits, as well as Josh says he's in the pits, but he's really bugged out on track. Oh, as the real action is happening here. 3 wide, deflated with Scuderia. This is the closest they've been to the crash. And Scuderia has lost places. No front wing. Oh, we said safety cars cause drama. This is a game changer. And we're not too sure what happened. They were going 3 wide. It could be any of those 3 fault. What on earth happened between Scuderia, and I think maybe Zidane? I'm not too sure who else was involved in that. Definitely Deflated Wee was on the extreme left of the track, and the Scuderia was in the middle of the track. The order is massively shaken up. TD is up into 6th. Mr. Speaker, who qualified last and has been out of the points all race, is on for a top 8 finish. Hissy, who has been last most of this race, with some unfortunate incidents this race, is in P9. Carito now making his way past Zidane, who runs a little bit wide at turn 1. And TD gets a double move on the pair of them. This is the second time this race that TD has made a double move, and Mr. Wiggles is now out. The activation point. And TD's out. This game, this race, providing action beyond belief. And TD, we saw the couples of nudges into the barriers. We saw some of the mistakes. And in the end, he quite clearly did have some damage that he was carrying. And that is such a shame for TD. He had a fantastic second half of this race. What to expect from a Baku League race. Oh, and more front wing, this time Zidane making a mistake in turn 15. and the whole front wing of that Aston Martin is gone. He'll have to pit and replace it. Certainly Padge and Greg will get past. There's not much I can say, TD, to soften that blow. All I'm going to say was it was a very impressive drive. Zidane has stayed out here with no front wing. That's quite dangerous. And Padge with the extra downforce gets a better exit out of one. Oh, and now Zidane's hit Padge. Oh, and that's exactly why you should pit when you have damage in the background there. Padge getting back up to speed, but certainly Zidane probably will get in trouble with the stewards there, because in the second half of this race have shaken up the order, shaken up the tyre strategies, brought people closer together, and no surprise to see plenty of incidents in the last 10 laps. An unfortunate incident with Scuderia meant that he dropped down to 12th, and Deflated Wheat picked up the bones. We got Joseph Hales and Carrizo so close in the background, but Deflated Wheat comes home for a well-deserved win. 10-10, back-to-back podiums for the first time in IIRL, and will Carrizo get Joseph Hales to the final podium slot? It's going to be close. Carrizo nicks it. And Joseph Hales, that is rotten luck. But you'd have to say that is true Baku. So unfortunate for Joseph, but well capitalised from Carrizo. McLaren then on top step here in Baku. Deflated Wheat, great strong result. 10-10, back-to-back podiums. He is different gravy this season. Long may that continue. So, on his official 81 debut at the start of the season for season 4, picking up a podium. And if someone is affected here, we will have a restart, but that we'll have to wait and see. 36 laps then is underway here in Brazil, and it looks like everyone's off the line, so maybe no restart is in order. Exotic Plains exited turn 1 in the lead. Deflated Wheat passed Josh into second, and Carrito with a fantastic start, already up to P4. A couple of gaps forming in that backfield as they're all jockeying for position side by side. Wiggles and Scuderia. Adrian and Scuderia now, sorry, out of turn 5 as they all jockey for position. Oh, a bit wide there from Joseph, overtaken by his teammate and Sonny in the Williams, who has had a very good start, although he will get a 10-second time penalty for pressing A too soon. That is a very good move there from Sonny. Past Ayo, and the bit of contact between the two Ferraris. How many times have we seen that? Mr. Wiggles very close here, and now side by side with Carrito. Wiggles' pace here looks very good in this opening few laps. One Red Bull on track, looking for another. Wiggles smells blood here. He senses fresh meat, fresh opportunity. Lost a potential sprint win. Aya, will he go for the inside or outside move? Making his mind up. Opted for the outside, a little bit on the grass. No room around the outside there. Yeah, that was probably the best opportunity he's had so far to get past Wee. Deflated Wee stays out, so yes, I can only describe what we saw on screen was not right, not true. Deflated Wee was still in second. No idea what happened, don't ask me. A full-course safety car. So I wonder what has brought that out, because there's no new retirements. Plenty of people pitting. In fact, pretty much every single person apart from Deflated Wee has pitted. Cheeky, not allowed to be alongside in real F1. And I think he may have lost out as a result. There goes Josh down the inside of the Alfa Romeo, and Josh nailing that restart. As for nailing restarts, Deflated Wheat is up there. It's very sad not to have you here, Hissy. Hope you're well, mate. I see a change for the lead here. Josh down the inside. Deflated Wee fighting. Has the line, has the corner. Josh was slightly off track. I'll let you make your mind up at home. But I would say that was Wee's corner. Could argue that he could have left more room, Wee. But I'd say you could easily argue that that was Wee's corner as well. Bit of argy-bargy going on. Side by side, Exotic Planes past Josh. Into turn 4, Josh defending from Scuderia, and now Adrian looking to get in on the action as Sonny gets a time penalty down in P13. Platty have history in the sprint race. TD claimed that Platty took him out. Are the roles going to be reversed? Will we see another incident between these two? Or will we only see good stuff on track? Mr. Wiggles time penalty down behind in 9th place. This side, will TD go for the move? Platty's left the room. TD alongside, Wiggles behind lying in wait. TD's had a bit of a sketchy turn 11, had to be on the outside of the corner. Mr. Wiggles can't make the move. TD stays in 9th. But Mr. Wiggles, fights going on behind us as well. Mr. Wiggles, oh, TD fighting really well there. Round the outside of turn 1. Jockeying for position. You get the feeling, if this carries on for another couple of laps, we are going to see something happen. Zidane still in the race. Nudge from Deflated Wee to Josh. Deflated Wee obviously losing a bit of ground, not making a pit stop yet, but is driving very well on those 19 lap old hard tyres. Exotic stream. As Wiggles nudges Platty into turn 4 on our screen. Who knows if that's what actually happened or not. For a second, Platty ghosted. Mr. Wiggles has gone for it! Oh, and that's Platty's not spun round. Thankfully. So I'll let you guys at home decide. Was that... Make sure that Wiggles doesn't get the slipstream. Oh, Wiggles! He's lost it. Tapping the barrier may have some rear wing damage, but might be very minimal. This releases TD and Carito to properly fight now. Yellow flags. Wiggles returning to the track in Snacks and TD trading places. And what's happened to TD? He's spun at turn 7, at turn 9 even. And oh, it was going oh so well for TD. Oh, and very hard to get back on track with those warm tyres on the car. Now out of turn 12, and here comes Scuderia. That was the opening that Scuderia, and more importantly, Josh was hoping for. Double mistake. Double move. Exotic. Oh, he's been spun. We weren't on board with Exotic to know what happened, but he has lost the win. And maybe that one mistake out of turn 12 was the nail in the coffin. Adrian is past Carito. And now, will Josh win the race? Or will Scuderia win this one? Halfway down the straight. So this could be Josh's final opportunity. Get a good exit out of turn 12. Dump all the ERS. Get the slipstream. Make the move. 3/10. Hard to call. Scuderia. 4 places on the game in this race. And takes the checkered flag by 0.2 of a second. Winning the Brazilian Grand Prix. TD steals the fastest lap on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Exotic does get a podium, but what could have or maybe should have been a potential race win. Carito and Snacks cross the line. Very impressive performances, as well as Colucci, who finishes in 7th. Deflated We will finish 8th on track, but will lose 8th. Scuderia winning the chat vote for driver of the day. Have to say, a very strong contender. Josh and a very strong contender. Josh and Exotic do finish on the podium. Very well done to those two. Adrian, Carito, Snacks, Colucci, Platty, Wee, Padge, all getting valuable points. And enjoy the racing. And we are go in France. And decent start there from Mr. Wiggles. Josh has been nipped into the first corner by Deflated Wee. Going off the track, we have Adrian and 1010, and spinning, we have Snacks at the exit of turn 2. This 1010's lost out to his teammate Padge, who's up to the top 8. Zidane, great start from him, up to P5. Killian maintaining 3rd place. But a switch for the lead. And let's have a look at the tyre strategies. When that green horizontal bar means he's using overtake. Extra boost of power to try and get him past the car, and it does. Nice little move there into turn 8. And Carito up 4 places now from his opening starting position. A couple of tenths out on track. Will TD get the move done now into turn 8? Fully alongside, slightly ahead. As the line leaves the room, Platty knows that it's a little bit silly to fight him there. And TD now up into 6th. Can he close the gap to that top 5 advantage? And we were saying Zidane is at risk of maybe dropping back here, but he's now a little bit closer to the back of Killian and Wiggles as a result. And I think Wiggles has spun in turn 1. What has happened? He has indeed spun at turn 1 for Mr. Wiggles. He's down now to 12th, 13th maybe. Joseph pretty close to the back of Greg, his teammate. And 1010 not too far behind them as well, only a few tenths between those 3 drivers. Killian looks like maybe he could be the one to take this lead of the race and maybe push on. Maybe he's got a bit of an extra pace in the bank, but he's not been able to show because he's been stuck behind Wee and Josh. But now Killian leads this race, and we'll have to see if Killian picks up this pace here. Platty staying out, and DRS has now been disabled, which means everyone now still out on the hard tyres will pit. Snacks, Aya will pit this lap, and it looks like that top 5 have maybe just misjudged it, gone out a lap too late. Police cars on the entrance to the pits. Maybe some of them should go and find the executive of Codemasters. So Joseph Hales and Greg were running 10th and 11th as Asmafrog retires in the pits, which is either a few spins here and there. Hello Price, how you doing, mate? Platty, 3-second time penalty. Glad to hear it. And Adrian making his move. Past Greg. P8 for Adrian now. Is likely to keep hold of a podium, which, to be fair, for most of the race he has deserved. No real mistakes. Good pace until that spin a few laps to go. Raven, I believe, is getting lapped, so he's just getting out of the way. That 10-second penalty may not stand, but it won't matter anyway. But we remain with these top two. Final time they will tackle this track here tonight. Raven retires in the pits a lap down. Adrian will jump ahead of Padge as things stand on time penalties, and maybe Hissy as well if he's close enough. "27 laps. These two started second and third respectively. They both made their way past Josh within the course of this race, and they have been within a second of each other the whole time apart from pit stops. But on lap 27, in changeable conditions, Deflated Wee, with a fantastic drive, will come home to take the checkered flag and take the French Grand Prix victory away from Kilian. Only 6/10 separating them over the course of 27 laps. Josh, well deserving of the podium. Good pace in the opening stint. Didn't find the wet tyres as easy, but still picks up a podium. Carito, P16 to P4. Fantastic drive and rescues some good points after a shock Q1 exit. Platy, 5th place ahead of Zidane. I have to say, had a fantastic drive, even though he does drop 2 places at the end. Joseph and Greg in the points. Adrian and Hissy round off the points as Padge misses out on a time penalty. Second person to amass 1,000 total points in IIRL. This is his 5th Grand Prix victory and his 26th podium. Congratulations to Deflated Wee. More than well deserved. To Kilian, who does take the fastest lap and an extra point, and continues his very impressive record of podiums. 8th race now for Kilian, 7 podiums. Incredible record. Very DNFs for this race: Aya, Asma, TD, Snacks, 1010, Steve and Wiggles, all with various, and Raven as well, who is classified but did retire. It is McLaren and Red Bull on the front row, and we are underway. 29 laps, correction, and into turn 1. Looks like Deflated Wee has the best run. 3 wide between Joseph, 1010 and Ross, and it looks like 1010 running wide, keeping hold of 3. Oh, and Joseph looks like he's been turned into in turn 2. People have been collected. Raven, TD's involved, Fury, Colucci, I think Greg's involved. There's something out on track. Is it a mistake though? This could allow Josh an opportunity to fight straight back here. Ross manoeuvred his car through turn 8 in such a way that he didn't let Josh through at the chicane. 7th place now for Zidane, just veteran of the league. One of only 4 or 5 drivers to reach 100 races in IRL, as Raven has retired out on track. Bit naughty, and running wide we have Firebird. Side by side, Padge is now past. Takes the outside scenic route. Oh, Firebird just going off track there, getting a time penalty. And Greg here, as Firebird has lagged out. That's a very unfortunate time to lag out. Right, as Greg gets past, Colucci retires in the pits. That should not bring out a safety car. TD. And yellow flags all over the shop as we have Aya going into the pits. And retiring from the race. You see Platy getting past Carito there in the very long turn 9. So still has good pace here, Josh. Not letting those hard tyres die on him. Allowing Platty into the DRS range. Yellow flag in sector 1, and 10-10 at the first corner has spun the car round. Dropping to 6th place, finds himself now in Joseph Hale's company. Firebird pits off those medium compound tyres as here comes Josh down the inside of Ross. Routine move. Can Ross get enough traction to fight back? It's a nice helmet design. 3 veterans, you could say, all battling for 8th. Deflated Wee pits from the lead, and 10-10 gets a time penalty for corner cutting. Ross also boxes off those mediums, and Kirito joins them. So those 3 will be onto the hard compound tyres for the rest of the race. As in the background, Greg just losing a bit of traction at the final corner. Pause. Deflated Wee, a bit of a headache, almost a bit of contact there. Hissy does well to not run into the back of our former race leader. It looks like Deflated Wee has got the advantage that he needed. He can bring those tyres up to temperature. Interesting race. It started off all frantic and chaotic, but it's settled down now. A few mistakes starting to creep in though. A few people have had a bit of a spin, had a bit of a moment. Hissy there, the latest of drivers, just to get a snap of oversteer and have to correct the car. Puts himself under enormous pressure from Padge and Greg behind. And someone into the pits. Padge going for a bit of an undercut here. We said round laps 17 or 18 for those hard tyre runners. Padge going for a bit of an undercut here on Hissy, and it might work, you know. These mediums are pretty quick around here. We saw the pace difference in the opening few laps between the mediums and the hards. Smiley joins that quartet of drivers in the pits. Greg covering off a potential undercut from Padge. Hissy stays out, and all eyes now turn to Padge to see if he can get that move done on Greg. Was already ahead, but no guarantee that he will come out of the pits ahead of Greg. In fact, he has had a brilliant outlap, and Greg is just coming out of the pits now. Padge has a huge advantage now. Smaller Smiley could be the one to make a move. Both pitting this lap. Smaller, DRS in hands, and pretty routine move there. Up into the points again. Batty. Joseph Hale's 4 seconds adrift. I think he's lost some time actually. Josh making his move. Yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. I believe Hissy has had a bit of a moment. Lost out to Greg. After the race, you got to spam him. He'll hate me for it, but it'll be hilarious. And here's the move. Potentially been expecting this. Platty, the quicker tyres on the car at this stage of the race, makes his move on Zidane up into 4th. However, still plenty of time for Zidane and Kirito to drain Platty's energy, perhaps. Here he can hold his head high. On board with Deflated. It's been a masterclass. He led by 2 seconds in the opening lap as Kirito and Platty trading places on the final lap. We'll check in with them in a few minutes' time, but Deflated Wee, it has been perfection tonight. He wins by 1.7 seconds. Josh, a valiant effort as he crashes over the line. to get second place. Deflated Wee extends his championship lead to, I don't know, we'll figure it out in a minute. Carito making a move on Platty in that final lap and gets an extra 2 points on his total. Platty in 5th, Zidane, again, fantastic race from him, P6. And Joseph Hales, what could have been potentially a top 6 finish, but a mistake near the end there. Padge, very consistent, good pace here tonight. Hissy and Greg rounding out the points. And let's get the fastest lap on the screen. Currently TD's. Smaller Smiley gets it and jumps ahead of Greg. Why is Greg falling? Over of the day, I could throw a curveball and give it to someone else. Not that Deflated Wee doesn't deserve it, of course. Carito up 7 places. Platty up 4. Padge up 11 places. And considering he's only a pit stop away from the win, definitely could be a good shout as well. Hissy as well, very strong showing tonight. DNFs tonight. Mr. Wiggles retiring in the pits. Raven retiring out on track. May get a penalty for that or a warning. So you have it, Josh and Killian lining up on the front row of the grid. Have a clean run into turn 1. And it's a really good start for Killian. For Fury, sorry, who's passed Killian into turn 1. But Josh, unopposed, so far exits turn 1 in the lead. And moving around in the backfield. Side by side go Joseph Hales and Carito. Carito just going off the track. Oh, and in the background we have Colucci out of the race. Big spin at the top of Radion into the barrier. And out of the race is Colucci in the opening lap. Drivers jockeying for position all the way down to 7th as 1010 gets past on the last corner, and Greg spinning at the final corner, dropping down to the. I'm missing a lot of it. Oh, and in the barrier, E69 out of the race, and a full course yellow. It's a VSC, I believe, as Carito has pitted later on in the Grand Prix. Remember, fastest lap in this Grand Prix will get a £20 Amazon gift card. And here it comes, the move. McLaren swapping with McLaren, this time Deflated Wee past Adrian, and an opportunity perhaps for Deflated Wee to try and close that gap on the top 3. Oh, Adrian holds it well, doesn't get any damage from that, but damage is done psychologically. There. Heavy fuel loads means the car is heavier, difficult to turn, and Padge now looking to make those mediums count. Will have to make a pit stop earlier than Joseph Hales. Might be attempting what he tried last week when he achieved a very powerful undercut at Abu Dhabi. Same thing in lap 2 as we have Firebird spinning and Asthma Frog spinning at the final corner. That's allowing people to jump up places, and Frog is down to P13 now. But maybe Asthma Frog is planning to go for a soft run at the end as Mr. Wiggles channeling his inner Adrian, spinning at turn 7 and losing 3rd place. Now Deflated Wee and 1010 in the battle for the podium of losing 5th to TD, who has had a fantastic race so far, while others have made mistakes, had some spins, finds himself in a net 5th place. And TD obviously onto the mediums as well. And there is Smiley and Padge behind, closing. This is going to be a very interesting 3-way fight as Adrian gets past Andy into turn 5. And here we go. Smaller Smiley on TD has the DRS. So powerful. You can see he's ahead. Smaller Smiley. TD late on the brakes. Oh, and maybe a bit too late as he brakes a bit too hard into Smiley there. Initiates the contact, this TD, and gets spun round a little bit, losing a bit of ground. Huge battle going on. Oh, it's his wipe. Mr. Wiggles is off at turn 6. Deflated leading the championship, leads Josh by 25 points, but as things stand, Josh is only gaining 3 points on Wei. So, when all is said and done, Deflated Wei, this isn't a bad result at all. Obviously, he'd love to finish ahead of his championship rivals, but Killian, as things stand, is 35 points adrift, so we'll close that to 25. TD now gets a time penalty. That's Smaller at the front of this train, and TD, who seems to have lost a lot of ground up Radion. So there goes Adrian. Has had really good pace here tonight, but that spin at turn 7 early on set him back a little bit, but now up into the top 7 again. DRS, just like Smaller Smiley went past TD with the DRS. It's roles reversed. TD with the inside line. Breaks into Lecomte. Smaller Smiley had to back off there. That was TD's corner. Oh, and he's gone wide. Oh, and he's in the barrier. Don't think he's got too much damage. That is a little bit of an unforced error from Smaller Smiley. He was having a great race up until then. Without that time penalty, it would have been very, very impressive. So the soft tyre for a fastest lap attempt and his second stint of the race all in one. And here comes 10-10 on our championship leader, Deflated Wei. Gets that move done. Nice move as well from 10-10 under braking. But Deflated Wei, we have seen on Tuesday night, very adept at sticking with people, at going for moves. Fury here. After getting past Greg a few laps ago, he's on the back of Padge. Those bottom 4 outside of the points will not get any points in this Grand Prix as things stand, but we'll be looking out for fastest lap. As here comes Fury down the inside of Padge, up into 8th. A yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3, I believe, for Asthma Frog. Trying to push that car and get the fastest lap of the race, but just spinning. Comes Padge. Trying to stay ahead of Fury. Fury late on the brakes. Channeling his inner Ricardo. And staying ahead of Padge. That was a remarkable attempt there from Fury. He made the corner as well, so Fury definitely used to attacking and defending other drivers. Took the lead from Josh in the opening couple of laps. Got out of the DRS range. Out of the pit stops. Had a 4.5 second lead. And wins this race comfortably by around 3 seconds. Josh deserves his spot on the podium. 10-10 will come home in 3rd, but Deflated Wei knew he had the time penalties, so will stay, will get on the podium as well. Adrian, after the early spin, it looked like maybe some strong points might not be on the cards, but the recovery drive was absolutely phenomenal as he comes home to finish in 5th. TD, I have to say, has been absolutely outstanding tonight, from 18th in Q1 exit to 6th place. Been very impressed as well by Andy and Fury. Padge, consistent as ever, finishes in the points. Greg in 10th, Mr. Consistent. 2.2 seconds up on his Delta. You get the feeling this is the chance. Current fastest lap is a 1:44.8. Joseph Hales missed out on that by 1/10 of a second. What about Smaller Smiley? Smaller Smiley gets it by a few hundredths. What about Kirito, though? He's improving on his personal best. but it's not quite good enough. It's only 3/10 off. And Asma Frog finishing off this Grand Prix in 14th place consistency. And had it not been for a few extra hundredths of a second, will find himself with the gift card as well. But Smaller Smiley, I'm sure Killian will be very frustrated at that. Smaller Smiley gets it. As we say, Colucci retiring at Radio on lap 1. E69 exactly the same place on lap 2. I believe some kind of incident with Smaller Smiley. And driver of the day, I'm going to give joint to TD and Andy. Both had very underwhelming, shall we say, qualifying performances, but both definitely deserve their spot in the points.
They are off, and the drives are off as well. And we got Killian, who has a great start on the inside of Josh. Just goes on the outside, side by side. Josh still on the inside. No, Killian on the inside. Is everyone clean through? No. Asma is dropping a bit. Exotic's dropping as Tantan goes on the inside. Wiggles makes a move on Slapburst. Faded makes also one move.
All well behaved.
Oh, and there goes Smiley spinning in the second sector.
Oh, Greg and Hissy.
Ooh.
They were going side by side into Aqua Minerale, and yeah, some contacts I think, and both span.
And Joseph made a move before the chicane on Aya.
Oh, good battle here.
Everyone is starting on the hards.
Kurito, TD side by sides.
Whoa. Makes and
TD backed off.
Yeah, Kurito makes the move. A lot on the
Wise
curve.
move. Plus for the whole of this lap.
Yeah, they both have DRS, and then Tantan makes the move. Tantan make the move on Ross, and Deflated make the move on Slapbus before turn 1. As you can see, Killian is still 1.4 seconds. 1.5 behind Josh. Josh objective.
Oh, Mr. Wiggle spins!
Ooh.
Aqua Minerale. And
Watch
he just
out.
lost traction up the hill.
It's now both McLarens can fight Exotic. Just wasn't in that second. He has a bit higher wing than Tantan.
Oh, Smiley spins at the last corner.
Ooh. Finishes fuel in a bit.
Nice move. We on Ross, round the outside of turn 1.
And Josh made the move on Corrido before turn 1. Joseph. But, ooh.
What's
Yeah,
happened? Is it Aya?
Aya.
No front wing.
Yeah, he spun on the fast left-hand turn 8, I think. And Corrido was undercutting.
Ooh, Kirito. Is this going to be a medium strat?
Could be.
I doubt those mediums will go to the ends, but
18 laps.
18, maybe, possibly a squeeze, but they'll be right on like 70-75%.
Riley as well. Asma is pitting as well.
He tempted to go soft here, you know, him whilst he was racing once, or in front of the screen or something like that.
Ah.
So, oh, Killian drive through.
Speeding.
Wow.
Oh,
That could cost him a podium.
That's gonna be. Oh, that's gonna be annoying. Because
Dropping back to 8th, I reckon.
Yeah.
He's losing time to Josh, whereas Ross seems to have a bit more gas in the tank right now. But Ross pits.
He has no
Saw that his teammate wasn't.
Oh, he's speeding.
Wow.
Oh.
Might cost him a
Wait.
podium, that.
Oh.
There's
Oh, no, never
another
mind.
team in the pits.
I thought someone hit
Slap
the
bus.
board. Never mind.
Badge
There
up into
is-
the podium.
Yeah. Still has to pit. This Credo is now in P5.
I thought that was out on track.
You're used to 82, mate.
No, I just didn't see him on the track map.
Let's see, I think, yeah, it was. It's there, we see deflated wheel. Back on track, it's going to be very close. But Ross takes P2. And there in the background, you see the McLaren boys. Ooh, only 2.65. Slappers now on the inside. And makes a clean move on Joseph Hills. And ERS goes to the inside, makes a clean move, goes into P4. Killian makes the move on Joseph Hills. Has got the DRS very close now. He will get the DRS. Does he have enough top end speed to overtake Kirito? He does on the inside, very clean. Close. Slapper's getting a bit better exit. Is he gonna? He's pushing. He's got the DRS. Is he gonna gain? Ooh, very close. Exotic used all of his energy to defend in the last lap.
Yeah, Exotic Planes has really good straight line speeds, even without using too much overtake.
No sector. Last few corners to go to get the win here. As Hissy makes the move on Smiley in turn 3. As here comes Josh on the start finish line. Oh, Smiley gets a penalty again. And Josh, whoa, big wiggle there. Just for fun. The Freighter gets P2. Here comes Ross across the line. P3. Exotic, great defending at the end. Into P4. Great drive from him, even after his mistake. Oh, okay. Great finish from Killian there. Gets P5 after penalties. Joseph P7. And goes back to P8 after penalties. Credo P7. Patch. Yes, 1-1. It's 1-1. But as here comes Patch to get 2 points into P9. Great drive. And here comes Hissy. P10 getting the final point of the race. Played Rhea and Ross. Great teamwork tonight. Getting the podium. And thank you, Sun God, for joining the race.
Very welcome.
And thank you everyone for watching. I think Joseph Hills. He had a great race, even though with the penalties. He had the pace for P7. But yeah, I don't know what you think.
So no formation lap. This race will get underway, and hopefully everyone is still here. It looks like everyone's got off the grid nicely, as we have Kurito with an absolutely fantastic start up the inside. Deflated Wee and Josh going side by side, and no silly antics. Out in the background, we've got a couple 2 or 3 wides, a couple losing ground, smaller Smiley, Padge, a couple of those to get overtaken in the midfield out of the first corner. But so far, so good. Everyone looks like they're all good. I think Joseph Hill's had a bit of a spin, but with the game screwing him over today, that kind of could be a byproduct of that. On a Red Bull riot. Josh now, with all the action happening behind him, is starting to pull a very healthy advantage. Last thing Deflated Wee wants to do now is break too late into a corner, nudge Carito off the track and get himself a penalty after the race by the stewards. Deflated Wee with the outside line, turns into the inside line for turn 15, and that is a very, very good move, but still side by side is Carito. This happened on Tuesday night and ended in a horrific crash involving, I think, Tamino and Deflated Wee. Still going side by side. Carito forced a little bit off track. I'm not sure Deflated Wee do too much wrong there, just the nature of the corner, and eventually something had to give, but now Killian looking to fight back. Deflated Wee had the DRS down the main straight after being behind Carito in the detection zone. Aya gets a time penalty down in P18. Press range. Mr. Wiggles then taking advantage of that. Carito going a bit too deep into turn 12, and Mr. Wiggles says, I will happily perform a switchback manoeuvre on you and take hold of P5. Carito, though, looking to go down the inside of Mr. Wiggles, had a bit of a sighter. I would say that's Mr. Wiggles wasn't at fault there. Carito lost a tiny bit of time, now finds himself under pressure from Adrian. Best opportunity he's had since Deflated Wee has dropped back by half a second. All this pressure is starting to pay dividends for Killian, as up into second place he now goes. And the question is, can Killian start to reduce that gap out to Josh in first place, who has not put a foot wrong so far and could find himself on for yet another race win. These top three could honestly give us the best title championship we've seen in a while. Top three only separated by 32 points in the championship. Currently Deflated Wee leading the championship is third. So Josh would close the gap out front to 5 points. Killian would gain another 3 points on Wee. But certainly seems to be going for a bit of an undercut. Killian, though, and Josh, more importantly, stay out. Killian now only 2.6 behind our race leader. Killian starting to pile the pressure on, but Deflated has gone for the undercut in a couple of laps' time when this all resolves and everyone makes their pit stops. So we're going to see where that leaves Deflated. But Deflated Wee, out of the pits, has plenty of room in front of him. No distractions whatsoever. Go into the pits to retire and just come back next week. Others decide to stick it out just in case there's a safety car, or try and get some consistency up if they can. As up in front we have Zidane and Felix flying past RP1 Zer on the new medium tyres. That's how DRS is powerful on this track. Bunch of drivers all pits. Josh and Killian pits. Carito stays out to take the lead. And the question is, where is Deflated Wee going to head out? You see Killian exiting the pits there. And alongside, oh, contact between the two. Killian. We didn't have the best angle on stream, so hard to see if anyone was at fault there, and if so, who. Down in 8th place, gets a time penalty, might find himself losing a spot to the two Aston Martins, maybe Padge towards the end of the race. TD just weaving the car there slightly, as if to say, Killian, go past. I don't mind you doing that. TD, of course, has the time penalty next to his name, so his job now will be to finish at least 3 seconds ahead of Adrian. Whereas Killian can now try and fight back on Wiggles and maybe close that gap to Deflated Wee for P2, but Josh seems to be enjoying these medium tyres at the moment. Now, gap up to 3.3, where it's been the vast majority of this Grand Prix so far. He definitely has seemed to have the most pace in the race so far. That's a bit of an ambitious move, bit of a, some might call a dive bomb, but Mr. Wiggles saw it coming and gave the space. Very sportsmanlike of Mr. Wiggles there. Ian came out of the pits, still very much on the podium, as he didn't need to overtake Wiggles to be there, but he has done. And now we'll be hoping to hunt down the top two as best as he can. So very close, might find that Deflated Wee loses 2 places here in one go, but Mr. Wiggles not close enough. And there goes Killian into second, but Wee, bit of an unforced error, running wide and getting a time penalty. Mr. Wiggles with 9 seconds of penalties, as TD has made a bit of a mistake and he's now 1.6 behind this group. And coming into turn 19, Josh leads by 2.3 seconds, so Killian has gained yet another 2 or 3 tenths this lap, but maybe not quite enough, as you see Top Gun now going down the inside of Felix. Bit of a wiggle from Top Gun. Would have been a top move. Going for a switchback, low on energy, red flashing light round the outside of this right-hander. This would be a fantastic move if he got this done. They are side by side, and that is actually a very, very difficult move. It is not easy to go around the outside of someone there through that triple apex right. And Top Gun should be very proud of that move. And has he got DRS? I'm not sure he has DRS, you know. And for all of that pushing, if he were not to get DRS here, that would be the most heartbreaking way to finish second. And no DRS open for the Alpine. All Josh needs to do is keep it clean for the last sector of the Grand Prix. Zidane gets a time penalty. That may cost him a shot at some points. Well, this race has finished the same way qualifying finished. In this exact order, all 3 of the top 3 held pole position in the final 20 seconds of qualifying. So far, it's Josh and Killian who have taken this race by storm. And in the end, Josh's first stint has won him this Grand Prix by less than a second. Killian, fantastic drive to push him all the way, but just ran out of laps in the end. Deflated Wee come third, a well-deserved podium, and Adrian will come across the line to make it a McLaren 3-4. TD and Wiggles, those time penalties just hurt them in the end, but still very good drives on their respective parts. Carito, what could have been a possible podium after that immense start up to second place in the opening few laps, but in the end just didn't quite have the pace, and will finish in 7th. RP1's on his debut, fantastic top 8 performance as Padge jumps ahead of his teammate into the points, and Top Gun misses out on 1 point in the championship by a 1/10 of a second. But well done to Felix on his return after a few races out. Zidane went for the alternate strategy. In the end, just didn't quite work out for him, and that late time penalty cost him a point. Miley gets the fastest lap of the race at the very end, and Greg always can count on him to finish a race. This time, didn't finish in the points. Brings out the rear in 14th. Exactly where he started. TD and Mr. Wiggles pretty much where they started as well. Those time penalties just costing them at the end. Carito's Padge, Felix all in the points. Congrats. DNM off their own choice. Joseph Hales, who's had a bit of a nightmare with the game today. Excuse me. Had a bit of a spin and crashed out, unfortunately. well, going to rest my voice now. Chaos is about to commence. McLaren on the first and second row of the grid. Their constructors' hopes looking up, and the race is underway. And Deflated Wee has a good start. He's maintained his lead ahead of Killian. Side by side now going Josh and Adrian. I think there's a little bit of contact there, and Josh has lost a bit of momentum. Further back, we got Mr. Wiggles and TD and 1010, sorry, going side by side. They're going 3 wide, including both Ferraris of Top Gun and Aya, as Padge is involved in that as well. And both Aston Martins making moves up the field. Slapbus especially, always a late inside defence from Zur, goes a bit awry, and Joseph Hales down the inside, losing out. And now alongside Kirito round the outside of turn 8. That's a beautiful move. Certainly Moment, who has just slipped out of DRS range, as across the line comes Deflated Wee to start lap 3, where DRS will be enabled. It's not horrible news for Ross and Slapbus on the hard compound tyre, Joseph Hales too. A heck of a lot of time. Oh, as Adrian spun out of turn 13, Adrian, big mistake, and that's cost him 10 places. That's how close this tier of racing is. As up into third goes TD, or maybe not. Oh, bit of a slide from Josh out of the hairpin. TD says, wham bam, thank you ma'am, and it looks like everyone's boxing for wet tyres now. Josh has stayed out, and so is Kirito. So both are the perfect tyre to be on right now. Longson and Asthma Frog fighting on tyres that are not good in these conditions. Might hold up the likes of Killian and Mr. Wiggles behind pits right now, and drivers boxing for intermediate compound tyres. Those top 4 perhaps will be hoping that the rain is not going to stick to the ground. Deflated into the lead. So Slapbus then was in first, with the tyres on the car after the pit stop, has now dropped all the way down to 10th. Also this Grand Prix, you can see everyone in the top 10 has gained some places, unless they're Killian. Oh, and off the track and out of the race! Smaller Smiley! And will that be a safety car? It's just a yellow flag, and it is a full course safety car. Smaller Smiley under huge pressure behind from Top Gun. Managed to defend his position, but out of that final corner, just lost traction. As out down the inside goes Kirito on 1010. Bold move as both of them swing it round, bit wide from 1010, and as a result he loses the position and has to slot into 7th place. But it was a good restart from Deflated Wee. Killian still within range. Kirito, after making that overtake, is now up into P6 to box for new tyres. And there goes TD down the inside of turn 6. Bit of contact with Adrian, but Adrian keeps it nice and friendly. TD, late move you would have to say, but nice move nonetheless into turn 6, up into 10th. Time will tell. Currently still just 7 seconds behind Asthma Frog. Not sure what his pace is like right now. Time to Frog as... Oh, Wiggles is out! And I saw Ross overtook Wiggles, but that's the reason why Mr. Wiggles out of this Grand Prix. And the wet weather claims another victim in China. A full course safety car into the pits. Kirito pitting, Slapbus pitting. Are they going to follow suit and go for the wet compound tyres? No, it's another set of inters for Killian. Slapbus. Kirito has another set of inters. Slapbus has a new set of enters. Page is pitting, Ayers pitting, Zert and Pelly and Asmaf are all pitting. Going to be really crucial to keep them clean. Oh, a bit of a mistake, I think, from Josh out of the final corner, and Ross and TD are all over the back of that Red Bull like a rash. There goes TD. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact with Ross as Ross corrects a slight snap of oversteer, but so far so good. Carito making his way past Greg. Greg fighting back. We've got Slapbus in the background trying to get past Greg as well. It's all frantic on this restart. We did say it would be. Because there is Ross struggling on the tyres. But Ross, now you see the setups are coming into play. The drier setup from Ross perhaps. More straight line speed. TD dives down the inside and takes control of P3. But Ross looking to fight back. Not close enough, and TD now on for a podium position. Getting outpaced by Killian Ors down the inside of Joseph Hales. Goes Carito. I don't know if that was a nudge from Carito or Joseph Hales had to give more space there, but definitely seemed a little bit cheeky from Carito. Was hoping that those wet compound tyres would bring him a bit more joy. Nice little switch back through turn 5 and into turn 6. Slapbus has the line on Joseph. Say, TD looks very comfortable in these wet conditions. TD, green horizontal bar in the cockpit. That means he's using as much ERS as he can, but he's still losing time here. For a move, this is going to come back in Killian's favour down the inside. Inside moves are better than outside moves in the wet. On this track, it would seem. Good exit for Top Gun, but now they're going side by side down into turn 6. Killian just has a slight nose advantage, but they're fully side by side through 6. Top Gun has the inside line as Joseph Hales boxes and retires the car, so no safety car coming out. Well defended by Top Gun, and now has the inside line. Can he finally get ahead of Killian? But Killian puts a bit more throttle on around the outside, has the inside line for turn 8 and turn 9, and they're still going side by side. Oh, bit of a wiggle from Top Gun, bit of contact from Killian, and through goes Ross into P4. What a move from Ross. He bided his time, and here comes Carito now. Killian was in 4th. His championship hopes were certainly looking pretty good. But now if he drops to 8th, here comes Slapbus trying to go down the inside. Oh my word, they're all weaving everywhere. Oh, a bit of a nudge. No harm done. And after all that, when all is said and done, Ross jumps up 2 places. Carito up past Killian. Top Gun has a mistake from Ross. You don't see that very often. And Ferrari and Alfa Romeo going side by side. Top Gun gets the better of Ross. On the top 3 separated by 1.5 seconds as Deflated Wee starts the final lap of the race. He pitted at the perfect time for the intermediate tyres. Unlike anyone else apart from Ross and Josh, he did not pit under the safety cars. He maintained his track position, and if he wins this race, it will be down to that strategy call. As he's been to the back of Deflated's car the whole race. But a bit of a wiggle. TD had to lift off slightly. Josh is gaining. But is he too far back? 4/10 says yes, he is too far back. This race has been an absolute spectacle. Drama from quali to the start of the race to the finish. And somehow, with 10 laps of racing after this safety car, the top 9 are so close together. Deflated Wii wins here in China and regains the lead of the championship. TD couldn't get Josh at the line. Josh gets hold of second, and TD with an absolutely superb podium there. Commiserations to Top Gun, who had a fantastic drive himself, but fourth place was the best he could manage. Killian, P5, bit of a damage limitation in terms of the championship, will lose some ground on the top 2. Ross, P6, fabulous double move, but in the end, 6th place was the best he could hope for tonight. Talked about a few days ago, and you got your well-deserved podium. Padge in P8, once again, no penalties, keeping it clean, Mr. Consistent. Kirito drops down to 9th with those penalties, and Adrian, after that early spin, does get a point on a bit of a recovery drive. Aya, Longson, Greg, Asma Frog, Pelly, and Zer all classified. Smaller Smiley's crash at the final corner brought out the first safety car around lap 8, and Mr. Wiggles' crash on lap 16 brought the second safety car out. 10 Tangerine with the wet tyres, but didn't quite work. Joseph Hales had a really strong start to the race from the back of the grid, but driver of the day, person who doesn't normally appear on the podium. TD is very, very quick, but only his second podium in IIRL. Driver of the TD tonight. Adrian's not in this lobby. We'll continue to commentate as if this is the real thing. There may be a restart coming, but we'll have to wait and see. Flavie gets off the line. Adrian, who is in AI at the moment, needs an invite back. We've got Slapbass and Wiggles making a little bit of contact in turn 1. That's the second time tonight Mr. Wiggles has made a slight bit of contact into the opening corner. Round the outside goes Padge, looking to get a move done on Zidane, who goes a little bit wide, following TD, who himself goes a little bit wide as well. Move at the front between Killian and Adrian, as I believe a few hundredths from Killian in second. Closer Killian gets to Wee. More those top 2 can try and break away. Some kind of F1 Super League. And Slapper swapping places. Wiggles getting that move done on the back straight with DRS. Beautiful sound of Killian not getting any wheel spin through that S section. Kept it consistent. Now only 3/10 behind Deflated Wheat. Well, Deflated gains a whole 10th before that DRS zone. Clearly, Killian has a bit more front wing on the car, and that is what's keeping Deflated Wee in the lead of this Grand Prix on the corners. But as soon as you get on the straight, you see Deflated Wee bomb, and he escapes. It's like a little rat, not in a negative way. You always try and catch a rat. They always escape and they always scurry off, and you're like, oh my goodness. Easy to save overtake here at this track. Padge getting past Greg for the final points position of the race at the moment. Joseph Hales and TD closing into the back of these pair. See him in the background. Joseph Hales with the rear wing open, the DRS. The smaller Smiley has crashed at the exit of turn 8. And will that be a safety car? All the drivers have passed the incident now, so we may not get a safety car, as Deflated Wee and Killian are very close going into the final corner. Safety car. And the top 5 leaders have all just come across the final corner and will not be able to pit, which means Kirito and Zidane and Felix and Adrian and Padge and Greg and TD and Joseph all pitting right now behind Joseph Hales. So Joseph would be up to 8th place here. And your new leader of the Grand Prix is FRL Carito, who was about 10 seconds off the lead 2 laps ago. TD and Greg swapping places already, as TD very quick to make a move. Oh, and Greg has spun into turn 1. A little bit of contact there as Greg got ghosted, and TD as a result has lost a place to Padge, but looks to stay ahead of Joseph Hales, as behind him we got Deflated Wee, who is very frustrated. Oh, and Killian's gone. What on earth happened with Killian? Was there contact? Did Killian hit the wall? But Killian has been possibly the most unlucky driver in the last 4 laps. Don't get me wrong. This is now turned into the battle for a podium. As, oh, what's happened here? Someone's gone on, and it's Slapbus. Oh, and Wiggles is round. What on earth is happening? Lap 18 has been the lap from hell, and Mr. Wiggles has retired. I believe in the pits. I think he just dived into the pits there and thought, screw that. Clear of this group. And with only 10 laps remaining, them two could be on for a top 2 finish. Let's not forget, we and Josh are in a championship rivalry fight showdown. Only 6 points separated we in first and Josh in second. Been through that tight double right section. Here comes Josh now. TD pulls to the left, tries to break the slipstream, excuse me. TD keeps fighting. Gets a marvellous exit out of turn 16. Josh has to go off track. Josh down the inside. Takes a play out of TD's playbook. Squeezes him slightly. They're going side by side. A bit of wheel contact. TD has the inside line for 5. Oh, and a spin! I do not believe it. TD spins a bit too much curb on the inside of 6. And it's heartbreak for Alpine. How you doing? Slapbus there. Too much on the inside curb, and here comes Killian round the outside of the long turn 8. And what a move. Sure, Slapbus had lost some momentum, but still not easy to go around the outside of there. But maybe that was Slapbus's plan to try and get the DRS back down into turn 11, which he does, and keeps hold of 6th place. Zidane and Padge now looking to stay within range. You can see Slapbus has better straight line speed with the DRS. Has got the move done before the corner. Longson retires in the pits as Slapbus goes a bit too deep into 16, gives Killian a chance to fight back. We've seen this before. This is how the sprint rate finished. Seconds off the lead as Slapbus and Killian side by side once again. Three laps plus the one they're on. This battle is not finished, not by a long stretch. I imagine Killian and Slapbus will spend more time side by side for these 3 laps than they have in the previous 26. Stake, and it could cost him everything. Kirito has had a fantastic first sector. He's almost got Felix out of DRS range. But Felix has spun! I don't believe it! Felix was on for a podium. A guaranteed podium. And one mistake has cost him. And I cannot think of the last time I've seen something this dramatic in a while. Deflated Wee, because he hasn't got a driver in front of him to get DRS. He's going to have to do it the hard way to get past Kirito, but there might be one final opportunity. Felix has dropped to 9th. And hearts are going to be broken in the Discord tonight. Kirito, yes, it was lucky that he got the race lead after the safety car, but there's nothing lucky about the way he's been driving tonight. Was 6th, comes home in glory for his first win in IRL. Deflated Wee pushed him all the way, but 2nd is the best he can hope for, and Josh ends up on the podium as Killian crashes across the line. Perhaps in frustration he couldn't beat Slapbus, who finishes ahead of him in 5th. Zidane, brilliant stint on those hard compound tyres to finish in 7th. Padge in 8th, and Felix. Collectively, our hearts go out to you after what looked to be an insane podium race. By the way, I didn't quite manage it, but that 29.7 is 9/10 off the record, so no record tonight. Only the quali record being broken. Kirito, on the closest thing that he can call a home Grand Prix, takes victory from 8th place on the grid, aided by a well-timed safety car from his perspective. Deflated Wee finishing on the podium. Josh only losing 3 points to Deflated Wee. However, at the midway stage in this championship, the winner of the past 2 AT1 seasons have led at the halfway stage in a row. 4th this season, Killian alongside in the front row, and Josh in the championship fight has had not a poor start, but certainly Kirito's had a flyer, and Killian's just taken it easy into turn 1, lost out to Josh. Kirito up to 2nd place already, as they're all going roughly single file, all side by side through the opening couple of corners, and they're all through without any problems whatsoever. Great Mafrog for a spot in the top 8, and Aya just swings around the outside, and chaos in the background as Aya seems to have contact with someone, possibly Longston. I'm not too sure what happened there. He won long laps in this race. Deflated Wee kicks us off with the fastest lap of the race. Two lines. But Deflated Wee is the one who has finished every race in the points this season. As Killian hits the wall! And does Killian have damage? I think I saw a bit of bodywork fly off. Maybe his end plate's gone. That will be roughly yellow or orange wing damage for Killian. And you can see there as the car goes past that he is indeed missing his left end plate, and he's already lost 2 seconds on Fury, getting overtaken by Felix. Killian, that mistake has cost him so much. And Kirito spun at the final corner. I'm too busy reading chat and figuring out my response to TJ's question, but Kirito, he spun at the final corner, and it's not the first time we've seen someone spin there. Such a shame. It was a brilliant start for Kirito. And here comes Fury now. Makes that move down the inside of turn 6, and by turn 7, Fury now, does he have the pace to catch Wee? Josh is hoping he does. Smiley really close through turn 5, and here we go. We said this could be happening. Down the inside of turn 7, and Smaller Smiley makes that move down, but here comes Kirito now. Down the inside of Felix, sniffing an opportunity. Senses that Felix might be vulnerable just after being... Aya has dropped places after his spin, and further back, Asma has spun at the hairpin, and Aya needs to reverse to avoid getting wing damage. But this is one of Wee's battlegrounds. Loves this track. Does Deflated. And maybe all that excitement, a little bit of wee has come out. Just remembering now that other commentator with the nice mic. Where is he? I don't know. I don't know when. But we are expecting rain. And here comes Fury, Deflated, parking his car in the middle of the track, leaving space on the outside for Fury. Fury now has the inside for turn 8. He brakes as late as he can to try and squeeze Wee off the track and into second. But Wee slams on the ERS and gets back past into turn 9. The gap was around 9 and a bit seconds. The gap is now down to 8. Carito spinning again. Second time tonight for Carito. Oh! And Zidane looks like he's hit TD into turn 2. I didn't see enough of it. But certainly, from the angle we had, it did certainly look like Zidane has hit TD just the tiniest of nudges into turn 3. Lap 21. We thought it was imminent. It was closer than we thought. Rain is falling in Singapore into P5. This then calls into question Fury's strategy. DRS is disabled immediately. And it's time for Inters. This lap. And 10-10 has done a Wiggles. He's locked up going into the pits, and because there's a driver behind boxing, he's been disqualified. I do not believe this game. A go. It's Killian now around the outside of Carito into turn 7. Side by side in these wet conditions. Killian no space except off the track to go. A little bit of wheel contact. Oh, and possibly a nudge of the wall for Carito. Killian looks to get that move done and squeeze him slightly. And in the end, Killian does make that move. Comes Fury. Oh. I love a good overtake. That could be one of the best overtakes we see this whole season. Round the outside of that corner on this track, in these conditions, on those tyres. That's phenomenal. Hats off Fury. Big moment. Seems to be a lot more comfortable. Bit of a snap from Josh. Lost in a corner. And Josh is going for a gamble here. He's got a free pit stop behind to Fury. But with him putting on the full wets, he needs to hope that either we pits next lap, or if we stays out, he loses an awful lot of time on those inters. As Josh comes across the line, that gap has now reduced to 17 seconds. He's gained 8 seconds that last lap. It's possible, chat. It really is. Lap 29, 3 laps to go. And he's only 15 seconds back. Go. As Greg gets out of the way very kindly. This is the battle. And I have to say, I was not expecting this battle on lap 30. I was expecting it on the last lap of the race. Those tyres are trashed. You can see there's hardly any grooves in those inters. There goes Josh round the outside. That would be an overtake and a half, but the traction uncontested. It was a bold strategy call from Wee. I thought it was the better one, and he goes wide, and he controls a spin into the wall slightly. But in the end, the drivers knew better than me. Josh leads this race. He was sat behind Wee, struggling. Wee just needs to make sure he doesn't crash out now. Greg is free to unlap himself if he feels faster, which I'm sure he's planning to do. As Felix now past Fury for third. And there around the outside goes Smaller. Good move. And Felix made it past Smaller in the last few moments while we were watching Josh and Wee. And in the end is going to win this by a country mile. Smaller still trying to get within overtaking distance of Felix for the podium. TJ. TJ, if we're both in 82 next season, I hope we're teammates. Gilly, it has been about one man. In the end, it was a perfect strategy call that won on Tuesday night, and it's a perfect strategy call for Thursday night. Josh takes the win by over 19 seconds, where Josh was 25 seconds off the lead 4 laps ago. What an absolutely brilliant strategy call from Josh. Deflated Wee will still come home to finish second, and Josh will only gain 7 points on the championship lead. Wee still leads the championship by 5 points tonight. As spinning around the final corner comes Smaller Smiley. Just couldn't quite get a podium, but Felix, what a drive. Third place. Hats off to Fury, carrying on those inters, which obviously are absolutely dreadful at this stage in the race, but still gets P5, and that should be celebrated. Zidane, great race. P6 has gone under the radar slightly, but where others have made mistakes, he's kept it clean. He's kept it consistent. Killian, after hurting his front wing and boxing on the opening couple of laps, comes home to recover in 7th. That's pretty good. TD, again, a strong performance. Carito has had issues this race and will take some points in this race. You've missed out on a really fun stream to be a part of. Killian takes the fastest lap in what I can only assume is the dry conditions on a 39.8. And I was going to check something. Yes, Felix. Is that his first podium? I don't think it is, but it might be. You know what? It is. This is Felix's first podium in 15 IRL races. So congratulations, Felix. First podium, well deserved. Is the time Hungarian Grand Prix is underway. And it's a bit of a wheel spin for Deflated Wee, but overall it's a pretty good start as they all head down, jockeying for position 3 or 4 wide in the midfield. And Carito, once again, having really good starts alongside Killian and possibly overtaking him down the inside into turn 2 as Exotic has made his way past Josh. Meanwhile, Deflated Wee, he is taking advantage from all this fighting in the midfield. But through... Oh, and TD, what's happened to TD? Oh, and there's contact. Alfie and TD have had a bit of a ding-dong through turn 4, it would seem. And Mr. Wiggles is on a charge right now. Started 19th, now P9. Making his way past Asma, Padge and Felix on the track, and Longson as well, who is attempting to block off Top Gun. Oh well, make your mind up at home whose fault that was, but it looked like a late dive bomb from Top Gun and a late defense from Longson. Get the feeling Killian is playing the long game as Mr. Wiggles goes into the pits. Oh, and makes a bit of a mistake. going for an undercut. So Mr. Wiggles will be looking to put on a brand new set of tyres, get better lap times with those new tyres. By the time that Carito and Zidane pit, he will get, in effect, a mini undercut on the top 4. And it is up to the top 4 to try and stay ahead of Fury, whether Fury now has a bit between his teeth. And there you see the move eventually from Killian on Josh. Killian now up into 3rd. Still nothing to separate two McLarens. Still behind though for 7th. Asma Frog. Patch, oh, and Patch spins. Very easily done. Not the first driver to have a spin there. But Patch will need to make sure that those tyres don't get too warm and spin again. Still not the right time to pit, as Deflated has made quite a huge error. Towards the end of lap 14, he's let Exotic now right on the rear wing. And here we see the McLaren civil war as Mr. Wiggles sets a new fastest lap of the race. Really pushing to try and get that net 5th place, 6th place. Will need to pit for most likely medium compounds as Deflated Wee makes another mistake, goes wide, and this time it costs him the lead. But here comes Deflated fighting back round the outside. Killian here is super close. These two McLarens need to be careful that they don't fight each other out of the top 2 positions. And this is now a really intense fight for the win, for the lead. Killian sitting back. More fighting from the McLarens. Exotic on the right, Deflated on the left, now behind, now for the inside. Bit of lag on my screen, bit of contact. Deflated corrects the car. How on earth did Deflated Wee not spin that car around then? And he is going for it. There Killian comes out of the pits. Will he come out behind another car who's going to slow him down? Of course, don't forget it's hard to overtake here at Hungary. On Exotic. There is Exotic out of the pits. And here comes Killian. He's got nice toasty tyres, bit of a love tap in turn 1. And there goes the ERS on for Killian. A move around the outside of 2 is not a bad idea at all, but there's more contact as Exotic looks to get those tyres up to temperature. They're still side by side, and in the end, the outside line for Exotic just gave him the breathing room he needed. Comes the civil war for the two McLarens. Unfortunately for Deflated, it just wasn't quite good enough. And in the end, Deflated has lost a place to Killian. A 2-lap undercut for the Alpine driver has... Is your AI gonna pit? What's he doing? I hope he pits, though. I don't understand the strategy, Felix, I'm not gonna lie. And there in the background, Josh, once again, is closing slowly but surely. Does Josh have enough laps to gain? Oh, what? Exotic's wide! Huge mistake. And it's dropped him to the back of that trio. Killian now leads the race. As we said, one mistake could cost these top 3 a race win here. Leaders are ending lap 32 and starting lap 33. 3 laps remaining as they cross the line. Josh has got the gap down now to 1.2 seconds. He is gaining per lap, but I'm not sure there's enough laps in the race for him to make full effect of that DRS if he gets in the range. Was my AI even been up? Eaton, he did up to 32 laps on hards. Oh, and Fury's off! And he's out! And will that be a virtual safety car? There's no full safety car left with only a few laps remaining. Oh, and that wheel is having a horrible time. And this could be the last proper overtake opportunity of the evening as they enter the final lap. Here comes Deflated. The DRS is open. The ERS is on. And he's alongside. This could be a move. 30 laps in the making. Killian defends superbly well, but here comes Deflated. Not close enough into two. There are back markers. I believe that is Longson. Longson could play a huge part in this Grand Prix. Four were separated by only a tenth and a bit in quali. They were separated by at max 3 seconds in the first stint. They're going to finish 2 seconds apart at the end of the race. Killian here could actually get DRS out of the final corner. Which will cement the win, but for Killian, who started third on the grid. It's been an absolutely fantastic race from him, and he takes the win. Josh misses out on a podium by 2/10. Maybe that tyre strategy just cost him a few seconds too much at the end. Mr. Wiggles from 19th on the grid up to P5. That is phenomenal driving from Mr. Wiggles. Carito DNFs from the race and actually won't score points. That was a bit of a silly manoeuvre there. Zidane will get 7th, and Asma Frog will battle Greg to the line, but both will be in the points. Smaller Smiley, 28 lap old hard tyres. Yeah, oh, he spins out of the final corner. More strategy in the world for Felix's AI actually turned into 11th place. And you qualied 11th as well, so that's kind of ironic in the same way. But for Killian, it was a mistake-free race. Started 4th on the grid, excuse me, not 3rd, as I incorrectly said. Deflated could have won, had the position a couple of times, but a couple of two mistakes. Just tiny mistakes which cost him time, maybe cost him the race win here today, but still ends up on the podium and out by 6 points. The gap at the top now. Deflated leads Josh by 11 points. So here we go then. Mexican Grand Prix is underway. Josh on the front row with Killian. Wiggles, who is a good starter as well. And one to look out for is Fade, who has a really good reputation, it seems. Good start there from Josh and Mr. Wiggles. Killian just bogged down a little bit off the line and has lost second place to Wiggles. A couple of drivers going on the extreme outside of turn 1 there, trying to avoid contact. We've got drivers shifting up and down the field. Wee has had a really good exit out of turn 3, challenging Fade for P4 in turn 4. But Fade there just stays ahead, making good use of the outside traction of everyone. 3, of course. Asma Frog there just pulling out of the slipstream of Greg, trying to make a move down into turn 1. Greg alongside, but Asma Frog, that's a really good overtake. Just, oh, as in the background we got Roro, sorry, having a bit of oversteer out of turn 3. Oh, as Smaller Smiley has had a problem going into the final sector. That's at turn 12, making, there we go. Fades. Heading down the inside of the championship leader, Deflated. Smaller Smiley boxes have some damage after that spin at turn 12. Move for the leads. Mr. Wiggles using the DRS nicely there into the first corner. Josh looking to fight back. However, it's a double DRS zone here, which means if you've got the detection at the final corner, you get it out of turn, into turn 1 and out of turn 3. What T1 has produced this season is rather phenomenal. 10-10 gets past, deflated into the opening corner, and another change for the lead. This time Josh making that move on Wiggles into the first corner. And that might produce an opportunity here for Deflated to go down the inside, but Joseph has the DRS, of course, on Kirito. Deflated Wee sticking his nose in. Really good traction out of 5. And through 6, Joseph has nowhere to go except behind that McLaren. Racing. As you do see, Wiggles does not have the DRS on the race leader Josh. But that looks like a possible warning for Killian there, just cutting over turn 2. On the car, and oh, it's 10-10. Has retired in the pits. That is very unexpected and was not... I'm confused. Why? How? Mr. Wiggles gets a penalty, as John said. Owen getting a time penalty. Josh does pit this lap. That is good. But I'm not convinced he will get out ahead of Mr. Wiggles, who is coming round the final corner now. Josh is making his way out of the pits as we speak. And there you see it. Wiggles takes the lead. The 3-lap undercut was enough. I think there is still plenty of action left in this race. As Fade homing in to the back of Kirito, who makes a defensive manoeuvre on the inside line. Kirito has a pretty good at this exit from turn 3. But Fade moving to the inside, and it was a late defense from Kirito. He thought he did enough to cover the inside route, but Fade shoved it up there, and Kirito was like, hold on a minute, I don't want you up my inside, I'll switch back on you. And it's very aggressive defending here from Kirito. As Fury ahead gets his 12 seconds now of time penalties. Joseph Hales, oh, could have ended so much worse. Felix just moves over. Joseph Hales says, hey buddy, I'm here. I'm alongside, and Fury going for the move around the outside of TD. TD goes for a nice little switchback and gets a decent exit. But Fury has the DRS. Looky. Fade here was 4 seconds behind this group when he got past Kirito. Fade has been on a charge in the last few laps. And now, with only 3 seconds of penalties here, could be on for 5th place. Where he was originally before he span. It's a change for the leads. Josh makes his way past Wiggles. Came out of the pits about 1.5 behind. Has now made up the ground. It hasn't popped up on our screen. There's a full safety car, and that's why people are pitting. Wow, I seem like a bit of an idiot now. So I reckon somebody has had a bit of a crash and left some debris on the track. Obviously, Josh boxing, Killian likewise. But will Mr. Wiggles get out ahead of Josh and Killian? And as he throws down the throttle, Mr. Wiggles does just slot into P2 where he was before. Mr. Wiggles a full second behind just on that restart. Killian obviously will get ahead past Wiggles on time penalties as Deflated Wee using those soft tyres to get as close as he can to the back of Asma Frog. And that's a very late move, but it's a very committed move, and it had to be, as Asma Frog is really struggling on those mediums. He's dropping back a load of places. In the midfield, Joseph Hales trying to swing it around the outside of Felix. to no avail. Smaller Smiley, time penalty. 18 seconds now for him. Wee is now on the podium. Fade making a move down the inside of turn 14 on Asma Frog, and there's contact. Those medium tyres just not quite working for Asma Frog. Hinder his chances, but now that 6-second time penalty has condemned him to a race off the podium, where before this safety car, Deflated Wee was 25 seconds behind Mr. Wiggles. And on the last lap of the race, Josh is going to take yet another race victory in 81 this season. He found himself 11 points behind Deflated at the start of the day. That gap is going to shrink to 1 point.
Thank you.
Josh comes across the line and absolutely proves why he is the reigning 81 champion. Killian, well-deserved podium. Deflated Wee does steal the podium from Mr. Wiggles, who in the end finishes in P4. Too sure what for, possibly for debris. But in case anyone was wondering, I think Carito was the reason why that safety car came out. But Josh takes home not only the race victory, but the fastest lap of the race, which means he does gain 11 points on Wee. They are now level on points with 6 races to go. So Josh and Wee proving that this could be the rivalry of the century, but with that penalty for Wiggles, jumps up into second. Wiggles finishes off the podium in what could be described as the farce of the century. Well deserved a podium or a race win here tonight. Felix, really good result there on his first driver, in his first race as a full-time driver now. The last lap. Deflated Wee just didn't quite have those pace on the soft tyres to challenge for the top 2. As Snacks' AI has got a really good start there in the middle of the pack, swerving around there in the grey AlphaTauri as Josh and Josh and Wee go into the first couple of corners side by side, and Deflated Wee has got the move done on Killian nice and early. Joseph Hill's battling for contact, and well, both have come off pretty bad from that. Driver of the day performance in the sprint race, going from 19th to 9th, has had a very fruitful start. Oh, and that's exactly what he did in quali. Exactly the same spin, exactly the same corner. I'm not having any commentator's curse because he's already done that tonight. Mr. Wiggles, starting from pretty much the back of the field, now up into 11th place. There's a big queue of cars directly in front of him. And Joseph up into 11th place. And it seems to be a recurring theme that those two Ferrari drivers always start very nicely. Hissy and I are both making up places in the opening of this Grand Prix. Killian has had an absolutely fantastic first couple of corners, and as soon as he puts on that DRS, he flies past. Incredible straight line speed there from the Alpine driver. Kills the lead of the race. People I work with are quite often born. Oh! TD and Wee! TD and Wee colliding in turn 2. And I have no idea what happened there. We just saw the ending. Both spinning round. TD has come off worse from that. Deflated Wee's got a bit of a gap behind to Hissy, driver out on track and looking to pull away from Josh. It's all good, Roro. We have good tracks, we have bad tracks. Sometimes you just hit a bad track. Unfortunate, mate. Fury, that is a very late break Aya tries to brake as late as he can and try and stick that nose alongside Fury, but in the end it's a fantastic overtake there from SRT Fury. And here comes Smaller Smiley now, pulling out to the inside of turn 4, where he's got a Ferrari. Well, it was ahead of him, now behind him. Small gaining that gap. Then Killian can respond, basically, and still have enough of a gap. As we said, Adrian does go into the pits, so Deflated Wheat now fully alongside on the exit of turn 1. Carito had a bit of a snap at the exit, but some good car positioning there from Carito means that Deflated Wheat is going to have to do this the hard way if he wants to get round at turn 4 to the outside. They're fully alongside. Both are entitled to space. Oh, and it looks like Wee has accidentally and very closely hit Carito. The tiniest of touches, but obviously Carito was ahead. I mean, make your own mind up at home. Again, we are not surprised at seeing. Tends to stay out a couple of laps longer than everyone else. Carito pits. Joseph Hales pits. Hissy stays out, and so does Deflated. Well, that's on stream now, Lolly. I'm not deleting that. Fury sets a new fastest lap of the race, 1:31.341. And as Hissy comes out of the pits, he finds himself actually on a nice little undercut here on Carito and Wiggles, who are going side by side, and this is going to end one way. They're 3 wide. Mr. Wiggles on the inside. Carito somehow manages on a switchback manoeuvre, still finds himself side by side with Mr. Wiggles, and Mr. Wiggles in the end just has the better line through turn 7. And oh my word, Joseph Hales getting past Hissy in the background as Hissy tries to get his tyres up to temperature. And a bit of a mistake for Carito, lets Joseph Hales alongside, but Carito slinging it through turn 9 and hitting Mr. Wiggles. And there goes Hissy round the outside. What a move from Hissy. 3 places in 1 corner on cold tyres. And I'm so annoyed that I was not on board with Hissy right there. Down the inside of that Red Bull. And Carito stays ahead in 5th. But here comes Hissy now. This is an absolutely incredible fight for P5, and Carito getting past into turn 1. Joseph Hales making his way past Hissy as well. Hissy running slightly wide. And now side by side. Carito though wants the inside line. A bit aggressively gets past Joseph, but Joseph going for a switchback. Has half a car length, half a car width. Oh, tyre width ahead! And that's contact. And a lovely pirouette from Joseph Hales, but the action still continues. TD here trying to make the most of Top Gun and Hissy's battle. Nice drive out of turn 4. Goes down the inside. Fury sticks it round the outside, still battling. And here comes Top Gun. Will this be a Maverick manoeuvre? Oh, contact. Oh, I thought one of those two were going to go off there. But Carito was doomed as soon as those 2 wheels hit, and Hissy making a living, it would seem, going around the outside of turns 9 and 10. Sets himself for a move in 11, but they run down the outside there. A little bit of contact. Up ahead we've got Fury and Carito side by side once again. It's impossible to leave this group right now. Losing places. Carito parks his car exactly in the middle of the track. He might find himself under pressure here from Top Gun, who is on the outside. TD does brake and stop the car without making contact with Top Gun. Carito would seem to have a more high wing setup, There goes Top Gun down the inside. It's a bit ambitious. Carito left the space and in the end had the better drive out of turn 8. Josh has taken another 10th or 2 out of Killian. They come round to the final corner of lap 26. And Josh is now 1.4 behind Killian with 3 laps to go. Saved up some ERS in exactly anticipation for this exact moment. Now Killian leads by just over a second. Josh trying his everything. Unless Killian makes a big mistake here, there is going to be no way that Josh can get close enough. This is the last DRS straight on this track. Killian has gone, and it is too little, too late. We said before the race, Killian, who is 50 points behind Josh right now, has an outside shot at a championship here, but he does need to win around 4 or 5 of the last 6 races. And he's held up his end of the bargain. Killian takes the race win here in Bahrain and a full 25 points. Josh extends his lead over Deflated Wee by another 3 points, but potentially Deflated Wee might be reported to the stewards by someone else. I can't remember who it was now, for an earlier incident. I think it was Carito. Adrian, a good solid race, but in the end those hard tyres just didn't quite give him the pace in the final stint. He comfortably takes home 4th place. Fury comfortably ahead of Top Gun in the end, his teammate, as they've both had a fantastic race up the field. Aston Martin P5 and P6. TD, really good P7, holding off Carito, who finishes in 8th, who's had a big fight with Hissy and Richard in the end, who all score points eye contact. It's not personal, but obviously it is frustrating when that happens. So there we have it. 3rd place, and that gap at the front of the championship now stands at only 5 points, with Josh leading Deflated. Adrian, really good race, 11th to P4, very, very strong. Top Gun as well, 14th to P6, actually really, really strong. Fury. Monaco, midnight conditions. Killian is in AI, so naturally we'll get a little bit of a better start as Deflated Wee pulls alongside Joseph Hales round the outside. They are going side by side up the hill. It's just a battle of who can get the ERS on, and it is Joseph Hales who maintains 3rd place, and everyone has got through the first few corners with no problems whatsoever. You love to see that. Some people going side by side. Carito going down the inside of 10-10. Oh, and there's contact between the two. You saw in the background, Carito went down the inside into the start of the 2nd sector, and Carito ended up front wing first in a wall. Who defended from, I think, oh, who was it? I think it was that guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Deton defended for the best part of 20 laps. Positioned his car in exactly the right place, and in the end, that guy made a mistake, which meant that Deton kept the position. I'd say Prev is probably one of the best defenders currently in the league. Stop.
Ooh, that's very interesting.
It's quite early. Needs to go 28 laps on those hard tyres.
He didn't change his wing or anything, though.
Not that I know of. We didn't look, truth be told, but it didn't look like a slow stop. Snacks on the back of the train as well. Oh, a little bit of contact. It's Deflated. Very eager.
Yeah, he might have a chance down into the chicane if he can get a good run.
We know Carito likes his unusual setups, I'll call them.
similar to Deaton.
where other drivers may have setups where the front wing is lower than the rear wing. No, other way around. The front wing is higher than the rear wing. Sometimes Carrizo uses a setup with the opposite.
Tapped the flayed wheel there.
Steve, oh, there goes wheel. Thought for a minute that was going to end badly, but he managed to just get out of it.
Yeah, and Deflator's got snacks behind as well, which is so he has to be careful.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker's tyres are going to go off very soon here.
Fine.
And this could be the move. Carrizo parks it in the middle. He's gone for it. Oh, and he's hit the wall with his rear tyre.
Yeah. Oh, that's so easy, can happen.
And now Snacks could be the one. Snacks has lied patiently, well, as patiently as he can, behind Wee.
Yeah.
Looking for a way past.
Like his life depends on it.
Down the inside of turn 4. Round the outside of turn 4, maybe. Oh, that would have been good.
God.
In the end, he just decides now is not the time. Josh pitting for an undercut.
Wow.
He's got the gap to Joseph. He's going to come out with no traffic. This could be crucial for the race win. Will Josh get Killian?
That's very rare for Josh to go for the undercut.
Yeah, Josh is always the one to stay out an extra couple of laps, always contact from Snacks to Carrito, and as a result, Deflated Wee lets the burners off, gets down the inside of Tozer, and retakes for 10th place.
And with a jump Joseph in the pits.
Yeah, Smaller's got a good undercut. Well, Joseph was in AI when he lagged out, so I imagine Smaller Smiley closed in by maybe 4 or 5 seconds in that time, and that 2-lap undercut has given him track position.
Yeah, he said he'd be fuming if he...
The worst possible news for Joseph, however, it's still rescuable here, and he's got so much more straight line speed. Oh, there's contact, and he's going for the move. Round the outside. Wow.
Wow.
What
a pass that was.
Overtake from Smaller on Tuesday. Now it's Joseph's turn. And Smaller Smiley now knows exactly how Deaton feels.
And the person who will be sick about that is Deflated Wee, because he also jumped Joseph in the pits as well.
Smiley's overtake, and you are in the Discord. Go check out the overtakes channel. It is in there. You can see it from stream perspective and Smaller's perspective. And I'll let you at home decide which one was better, of course.
I never thought to say it's the Deflated Wee train.
I mean, I just want the chat and everyone watching right now to look at the track map. You see all the cars in Sector 3. If you look, there's an Alfa Romeo coming through Raskas. That car behind is our race leader. Our race leader, as Asma Frog has had a bit of a spin through the final corner, possibly has some damage. Joseph L's going for a move around the outside of Casino.
The boys.
Bit of contacts. Are about 25. So I still think, Aya and Roro are going side by side. Oh, there's a pile up. It was all going so well.
Guys.
Aya tried round the outside. Oh, and Roro's left after that. But Carrito is now within a second of TD, which means Carrito will now finish P4 as things stand. He's boxing.
Josh Pitts.
Josh is going for it. A fastest lap attempt.
That makes sense.
And with Josh pitting this late, I don't think Killian can pit and get a clean lap in, which means Josh could have helped himself to a £20 Amazon gift card here
Yeah.
at the end of this
that
race.
would be incredible. Go on, incredible. Go on, Greg.
Smaller.
Aston
Oh, he's gone a
Frog,
bit too deep
62.
into the first corner, and TD flies past.
I don't think
Like
Aston
those
Frog's going to beat it.
Are you right to stay on board with Josh and see if he gets it?
Yeah. I will.
All of these guys have indeed been lapped by Killian, which means this is the last lap of the race, even though these leaders are on lap 38.
Aston Frog missed out by 7 tenths.
And Josh already has the fastest lap of the race, so
Yeah, he's just
I
gone
reckon
4 tenths
Josh
quicker in sector
has
1.
got this here.
You wouldn't want to crash there, go for it though, would you?
Josh is rapidly approaching the back of this train.
Yeah, he might even get DOS. No, he didn't get it.
He may get it out of the final corner, but for Killian, he overtook Josh. Well, he stayed ahead after qualifying on pole position. Even Josh's undercut attempt did not work, and Killian has been a class above the rest. A star for Killian, and he reduces the gap at the top of the championship by about 6 points. Here comes Josh, who has forced his way through some ghosted cars as he relaps
that was awkward.
them. And he comes across to set a new fastest lap of the race. And what will almost certainly be a £20 Amazon gift card. So congratulations to Josh. Unfortunately, Asthma Frog has just had a spin, and he will finish in 11th. But
Thank you for the raid, mate.
hoping next stream goes really, really well. We'll try and raid you if we can.
Fella.
Oh, let's skip the podium again. I'm bad for doing that. So, we don't see this very often, but only 2 cars finished on the lead lap. Killian, Class A tonight. Josh made no mistakes, but in the end, got the fastest lap and the £20 Amazon gift card from Goldilocks and Rids. Joseph Hales finishes on the podium a lap down. That I will never say that sentence again.
You don't normally see that. Top 2 and then 1 lap.
It's only at Monaco. Carito, Greg, fantastic race from Greg. Did not look like he was on for a P5, but kept it clean, and in the end took advantage of the battles ahead of him. TD, Wheat, Smaller, Aya, Roro in the points. Josh and Killian on the front row of the grid for the Saudi Arabian GP. Round 15 is underway, and Josh has got a pretty good start. And they're all jockeying for position. No one's had a really bad start there. Snack's getting awfully close to the back of Adrian, who's looking to go round the outside of Wiggles. Problems in the opening corners. I think saw someone, I think it might be Top Gun, just losing some places there. They're very close. Oh, Adrian spins. Tyres will be a little bit colder than you want. Looking at moves. Is Top Gun going for this on Asma? No, he's not. He's got a really good exit out of turn 23. No DRS until lap 3. Asma Frog, a bit too eager on the brakes. Oh, and a bit of oversteer. Taps into Top Gun there. And I don't think it'll be any damage, but for Richard, he is looking to get past here, but with these 3 fighting in front of him on the hard compound, it will pushing to get Killian out of that DRS range. No DRS on this track until back straights. There's action in turn 1, and they're 3 wide. The 3 leaders. Killian has got past down the main straight. Did not realise how close they actually were. Oh, over the track limits from Wiggles might be a warning. Oh, what a big snap! And he did go off the track. That's why he got the warning and the 3-second penalty, but he did well to correct it. Must be some big damage. And Top Gun has no front wing. That is why the safety car is out. And this obviously is news from the heavens for Girthy Steve. And unfortunately then Top Gun has hit him and lost his front wing. Maybe that's what's happened, but penalties for speeding in the pit lane. Padge has got one. And everyone is boxing onto the other compound of tyres they need. SRT Fury. Go. He's gone now. And Asmafrog tries to put the power down, just has a bit of a snap. And this may allow Killian here to have a go into the inside of turn 1. And he does, he is fully alongside, outbrakes him and takes P2. Both pitted. And then obviously everyone apart from 2 pitted under the safety car for the opposite set of compound tyres. And we restarted last lap. Hasn't got it. And Snatch just has one bit of defending to do from Fury. Oh, that's a huge snap! Did someone say Formula Drift? Thanks, Nick. That was a huge snap and sensible move. Or deflated on Josh. These two are rivals in the championship. Josh is leading, deflated by 18 points. That is it. And this could be a move. Josh using the ERS to get back ahead. Fair battle, I reckon. I'll let you make your mind up at home. Pitted. And there is another full safety car. And I wonder if Girthy Steve has damage. Yes. No front wing on the car. Information of those 2 streams to be in the Discord in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Battling with Adrian. Deflated Wheat has got past Josh in the background. Adrian slightly off track and may have a bit of grit on the tyres to work through, but does well, but that does mean that Killian has got past. Places. What on earth has happened? The yellow flags are cleared and the drivers are back underway. Oh, and a big slap! And Adrian is out! And that is a full course safety car. And you saw it happen. Adrian lost the back end out of turn 23. And through turn 24, deflated, could not get out of the way and just gave his teammate a nudge. And that was all it needed. Adrian into the barrier and out of the race. Lap 20. Smaller Smiley under huge pressure. Killian has got past and now Deflated Wheat is following suit. Smaller not trying to give it up though. Go from 38 points to, well, a heck of a lot less. Let's just put it that way. I'll try and get the quick maths out for you. Bit of contact between Josh and Smiler. Smaller Smiley. But Smaller defending well. It's a little bit too deep there into 16. And Josh has got a better exit. He's putting on the ERS. Obviously with the safety car, the batteries are going to be charged. Josh has pretty much dumped everything. And Smaller still comes out ahead. Those hard tyres are really not giving the grip that he would like. Around the outside of 24, that's a good move. But he has lost 1.8 seconds to Killian and Wee. Loses the lead. I wonder if Josh has any kind of damage. I'm not saying Josh is slow, but certainly we've not seen him this far away from the front in a long, long time. Killian, lovely move down the inside of 23 on Wiggles. And if Killian's not careful, Deflated could get him for the race win here. TD, fastest lap of the race. Wee needs a good exit, and there's contact! Killian is round. Deflated Wee, out of nowhere, takes the win. Fury finishes P2. Top Gun overtakes Josh with that 5-second time penalty. Killian does end up on the podium, but Josh may have 5 seconds removed, which would put him second. Greg, a P4 finish. It may be P5 if Josh gets his penalty removed. But an absolutely enthralling race with 3 full safety cars. Deflated Wee from 9th on the grid had potentially no hope of winning this race. Greg, as we say, with a brilliant P4, and he will be driver of the day tonight. But in 45 minutes or so, you will find out where the championships are going to be won and lost. Padge has a drive-through penalty for a jump start, and it's a fantastic start for Deflated Wee. Carito, you see on the outside of turn 1 there, looking to go around the outside of 3 different drivers, and they're all jockeying for position here. It is so close. They're going 2-3 wide, some of them, as they all jockey for position. TD ahead of Top Gun now into turn 4 and up into 8th, but Top Gun now fighting back on TD, and they're still absolutely side by side. Top Gun off the track and getting a bit of oversteer, and TD has to avoid contact with Carito ahead, and as a result just gets a bit of a snap. 11th place in his control. Looks a little bit like the Tour de France. The leaders kind of run away with it in the opening moments. Packs and groups start to form. Fury overtakes his teammate down the main straight with DRS. Nothing to separate Wee and Josh. Running almost identical wing setup. None of these top 2 have any straight line speed advantage over the other. It could be a very monotonous few laps until we enter the pit stop window. This may be the group to give us that on-track action. Carito's got past Joseph Hales in the past couple of laps, and Top Gun following in Carito's footsteps. All in a spin for Fury. You see out of turn 9. Strategic pit stop off those medium compound tyres. But when will it happen? Fury trying to defend from TD, but the DRS just too powerful there. Both boxing, I imagine, onto the medium compounds. This VSC is going to run out pretty soon. However, by pitting under the VSC, you save some time in your pit stop because the other drivers aren't racing at full capacity. 2 laps ago, now to 1.1. Josh, I wonder if he's using some ERS. Maybe he just enjoying these hard compound tyres the longer they go into this Grand Prix. Deflated Wee looks to have responded in that middle sector as Padge opts to retire from the Grand Prix in the pit lane. 15 remaining. Carito and Killian fighting in turn 5. And this is not good news for Killian. He needs to get past Carito ASAP. Otherwise, this undercut opportunity is not going to work. And he is losing time. Behind Carito in that Red Bull. Interesting for Josh to pit earlier and Deflated. E69 has had an issue. He's now 7 seconds behind. What has happened to E69? We have missed it on track. Exits the pit lane. And Carito is all the way back on that main straight. Going for a move on Carito, sorry, into the first corner. Gets that move done, but Killian has lost a good 2.5 seconds on Josh. There's Josh on the right hand side of your screen, and it may look like a nice gap right now, but Josh will have those tyres up to temperature, and in the next sector or 2 he is going to start to gain and get within DRS range. Fury stays out. Of course, E69 with that time penalty does need to get past Carito at the earliest possible moment. Carito has opted to pit for a two-stop strategy and is on to another set of new medium compound tyres. Kilian firmly cemented in P3 now with E69's time penalty. Has a 4.6 second gap back to this battle for fourth. Well, Deflated is running low on ERS, and Josh. One thing I've noticed about these top two, Josh seems to be turning earlier for the corners, which means he gains time in the early part of the corner, whereas Deflated gets better exits and pulls away out of the corner. That will help Deflated. Trying to defend out of the straights. It's got a time penalty. You are right, that did happen very shortly, not too long ago, and I missed it. Maybe not a spin actually, maybe just losing places. He's lost places to Asma and Chaz. And E69 spinning at turn 1. Was going to lose P4 to Top Gun anyways. May lose a place to Fury here if he can't get those tyres under control in what will be the 5th race that we, Josh and Kilian, share the podium altogether. Smaller up into 9th, but that time penalty may finish him in 10th place with only a couple of laps remaining. But Josh has had a strong challenge this season. Last season he won the championship by quite a big margin. This season has not been as easy for him. It has been a very tough ordeal out there. Deflated, we will win this on track, and we'll check the checkered flag for the Portuguese Grand Prix victory, but Josh will get the 25 points and extend his championship lead to 17 points. Deflated is not out of it. Kilian, no mistakes apart from that time penalty. We'll finish in 3rd, and I will get confirmation if Kilian is still in the title fight in a few moments' time. Top Gun, great race, finishes P4. E69 ahead of Fury on time penalties. TD, solid race. Had a couple of slight moments, but P7, I'm sure he'd be happy with that. Carito with the two-stop strategy just didn't quite work on this occasion. Still in the points, and P8 is his this evening. And P9 for Smaller. Chaz, on his debut, Crash it always lucky not to retire before the line there. Oh, that is very lucky for Chaz. Did we has indeed won this Grand Prix, or whether Josh has extended that championship lead. But I think driver of the day, I'm going to give it to Top Gun. Not easy, making your way through the field of fast drivers to finish 4th and only 13 points off the win. 13 seconds off the win, sorry. It's actually pretty good for someone who started in 8th place. So I give it to Josh, Wee and Kilian all the time. I'm going to give it to Top Gun tonight. EP is only the best I can do, I'm afraid. And here we go for the Spanish Grand Prix. 2 rounds to go, and this is where the points are won. Kilian, great start, and pulls out to the inside, just like we see in real life, to defend into the opening corner. Josh brakes as late as he possibly can to try and get a sight around the outside. We've got Padge just a little bit behind off the back of the pack. People side by side through the opening couple of corners. But everyone has got out of there pretty well. 2, sometimes 3 wide there into turn 4 as they go, and Deflated making up a place up to P6 now, but a little bit of congestion ahead of him. He's got Chaz in that Aston Martin, and Top Gun side by side, both on the hard compounds. Ross making it 3 wide. He's on the mediums down the inside, bit of contact. Top Gun forced to go over the inside curb. And thankfully, no real issues there at some point in the race, but he is gaining ground on Josh. Out in the foreground, you've got RP1 Ice. Getting past Squire. Oh, and Ice just accidentally squeezing Squire off track slightly. No harm done. In fact, Squire says, right, I'll go for a switchback then. If that's how you're going to drive. A little bit of contact. Nothing too malicious in that. DRS has been made a little bit harder. Oh, I have. I've got an Ethernet cable. But nothing seems to be working, I'm afraid. A move by Killian. Returning the favour into turn 1. Killian retakes the leads. And we have Ross spinning at the final corner. It's not quite been Ross's day today so far. Joseph Hales looking to get past Josh, which obviously would be a really good piece of news for Deflated. Exotic, Chaz, no championships in this league so far, but definitely seem to have the pace to get on the podium here tonight. A reminder, Josh leads Deflated by 17 points. We head into Japan next week for the final round as we have Snacks spinning at turn 8 and losing a couple of places behind Ice now into 17th. So if Josh finishes second, he will get 18 points. Deflated will get 8 points for finishing 6th. Which means outscoring by 10 points, Josh will win the championship as things stand. That 14, and I imagine these 5 are going to monotonously carry on as they are, so let's join another fight. Oh, TD pits. Oh, and that's a big mistake. Wow. TD will hate me. The fact I got that on stream. He will utterly hate me. But I think that's the best bit of action we've had so far in this race. Here to get past 10-10. He is gaining, not using any ERS, but has the rear wing open. Best thing stands. Not quite close enough to the back of 10-10. That Ferrari-powered Haas car. Oh, behind. Could we see a late charge from Deflated to rescue the championship, perhaps, or keep himself in the title hunt? Still, the battle rages with 10-10, smaller Smiley. Smaller content maybe just to sit behind and get the DRS and force 10-10 into getting a time penalty or making a mistake. Smaller Smiley, I'm sure, will have been thinking about a potential undercut opportunity as well. What lap can he pit to try and get an undercut on 10-10? Is there a gap he can fit his car into? And there you can see Deflated is gaining. Thought about a pit stop. Joseph and Exotic pit. With Joseph and Exotic running 3rd and 4th, that means Chaz is now out of DRS of the top 2. Might give a bit more incentive to Deflated to try and close that gap. Or will Chaz put the hammer down, spend some of this ERS, try and get within DRS range of the top 2? Well, they don't get undercut. In comes Killian. Josh stays out. And Chaz stays out. What about Deflated? He's into the pits. Asma Frog remains on track to inherit 3rd place. 10-10 stays out. So does Smaller Smiley. What about this group then? Hissy stays out. Greg dives into the pits, and Joseph Hales may have got held up slightly in that final sector. 3rd, and here comes Killian in the background. And there is Josh, and the overcut has worked, but obviously Kilian's tyres are up to temperature. And not the trickiest of moves from Kilian. Josh did make that overcut work really nicely as Kilian was getting his tyres up to temperature, but now once again nothing to separate them. Joseph Hale's 1.4 behind Josh. Joseph, though, obviously he's been on those tyres 3 laps already, so they're nice and warm and could be sizing that Aston Martin up for a move. That would be a shame, TD, if you didn't race next week. We always love having you out on track. Oh, big mistake from Joseph! Corrected it just in the nick of time, but he has lost the place to Deflated. Deflated Week catching back up again. 1.4 was 1.8 behind, now closing the gap by 0.4 of a second. Can he get within DRS range and mount a challenge for the race win? Asthma Frog, really, really impressive stuff. Has gone under the radar, I will not lie. However, P5 in this tier around these races is really, really good, holding off the newly crowned NA champion, no assist champion for season 4, 10-10. They've been monotonously racing, following each other. Kilian has done an expert job at leading this Grand Prix, but he's not once got Josh out of DRS range. For 30 laps, Josh has had DRS. And he's only made 1 overtake, and that was on lap 7, I believe. Since lap 8, Kilian has been leading this race, apart from the pit stop strategy, of course. Deflated Wee in the background, getting ever closer. Final lap of the race. Will Kilian win it? Josh, his red light is flashing. He's out of ERS. Kilian is flashing too, but Chaz isn't. Is he going for the move? This is the closest race we have seen for a very, very long time. I cannot remember the last time we have had 4 drivers within DRS range the whole race. Pels and Top Gun are battling for 9th as we speak. That could change. And here comes Chaz. Round the outside, perhaps. Watch out for Deflated. Chaz off track. No room for the move. Kilian, it's been a masterpiece. He's had to defend for the best part of 30 laps from these drivers behind. No mistakes. No doubt about it. Kilian reigns in Spain. Josh holds on to P2, and little Chaz, a huge performance. P3 on his 2nd race. Well deserved. Deflated Wheat recovers to 4th after a P7 qualifying and keeps the title going to next week. 10-10 finishes in 5th, and Smaller and Asthma finishes in 6th and 7th. Padge gets 4 points for the Haas team. Really strong, consistent drive there. Joseph and Top Gun, after problems of their own this race, get some points in the end. They have it, confirmation, 44 minutes and 44 seconds for Kilian to take home his, oh goodness, how many races has he won this season? His 6th race win of the season. Actually now, in Assist Tier 1, Kilian has the most race victories of anyone. It very much is Josh's to lose. Some very strong drives out there. I'm going to give Driver of the Day to Little Chaz. Momentarily. So Josh, alongside Deflated, it's a fairy tale ending in qualifying. Who is going to come out on top in the championship? And it's go. And Deflated Wheat, perfect start inside line and takes the lead, exactly what he needed to do when the pressure's on. Deflated, you can count on him, but Josh needs to stay 8th or higher to win this championship. It looks all pretty clean for a lot of the field, especially the background. As all someone's off, and I think that's Padge in the background in the Haas, who has just run off on one of the S corners. That's Allied Squire tempting his fate, going onto the grass at the end of the Dunlop curve. And everyone is cleanly away. Move down the inside of Smaller Smiley. That's Carito. Bit of a squeeze out to the inside. Oh, and that's contact! And how is Smaller Smiley not out of this race? How on earth has that wheel not come off in 2 different places? Gets out of the move as a result. Top Gun gets a nice exit and engaging some ERS. No DRS, and of course, lap 3 is when it is now enabled, so down the main straight. Yellow flag, and there's a Ferrari off, and E69 has crashed. And that is a full course safety car. Moments of madness here in AT1 as we had Allied Squire spinning in the background in the S section, and right in front of Top Gun's eyes, E69 spins at the Dunlop curve and crashes out of the final race of the season. I imagine in the next couple of moments he will go, possibly out of this final corner. And he does. Keeps it nice and steady. No wheel spin at all. Weaving the car to get heat into the tyres, as Josh does that as well, who has got Killian behind for company. And Josh has been overtaken. It doesn't mean an awful lot. As we say, Josh needs to finish 8th or above to claim his back-to-back championships in AT1. It's my Frog, but Frog has stuck with him, should I say, and that's his personal best lap. Asma Frog, 6/10 to the good, and this will be a move round the outside of the first corner, and I don't think there was contact. As Carito spins, there was more contact, and TD is off at turn 2, and that was definite contact with Top Gun. Yeah, we didn't quite see all of it. And there is a full course safety car. Now, what is that for? Does someone have damage? Let's have a look. What about Carito? Has he got his front wing? Yeah, he's got all of his front wing intact. Is it Squire? Yes. Has no front wing on the car. Oh, and it's a bit unfortunate. What about Top Gun? He stays out. Padge is in for new tyres. Arjant has already boxed in this race, so doesn't need to at the moment. TD comes in, Joseph comes in, so does Carito. And RP1 Ice, currently in 14th place, will stay out. Smaller Smiley, eager to get on with it. Trying to force Ice to go quicker here. So the field is back, and Fury on 11 lap old medium hard compound tyres even has caught Asma Frog napping and has already got a second and a half, and Deflated Wee is getting on with this pretty quickly here. Needs to get past this Ferrari ASAP. And it looks all fair from my seat at the moment. What about Josh? He has little chance for company. Mr. Wiggles has dropped back slightly from that group, but E4. But he knows that he's got a gauntlet of drivers coming for him there. Will Killian go for it? A little bit of contact, but only very minor. Oh, and almost pushed off track. And here comes Josh now. He's got Chaz to the left. He's got an Alpine in front, and Chaz is going around the outside. Into the spoon corner. Chaz has the inside line, and here comes Mr. Wiggles. Josh is dropping. But Josh fighting back. Half a car length ahead into 130R, and Mr. Wiggles wisely backs off. Oh, that could have ended so badly. Josh a little bit too deep there into the chicane, and this might give Mr. Wiggles a really good opportunity to get the run on him down into turn one. Further up the field, we've got Killian and Arjan side by side. Deflated Wee has already made his way back into P2 and past Asma Frog. You can see in the foreground there as Killian makes his way past Arjan. And who is that? It's Asma Frog spinning. For a moment. Fury at the spoon corner getting a 3-second time penalty. So now this is two groups of leaders. We've got first to third and fourth to sixth. Will Deflated go for it into this chicane? He's having a look. He's gone on the brakes and he has made the move. Fury, big snap of oversteer, corrects it, and that gives Deflated an opening to start to pull a gap, but Fury is gaining with the DRS open. He's not open actually. Good straight line speed from Fury on this setup. But now is Killian's best opportunity. A couple of laps ago he saw Deflated go down the inside of Fury at this very chicane. But Fury on those hard compound tyres is getting fantastic exits. But now Killian, look at the straight line speed. He's got the ERS on, he's got the DRS open, and that was the commitment that he needed to get through into second place. 9, so McLaren, as things stand, will win the Constructors by 2 points. With Carito now into P9, and Mr. Wiggles spinning. And that has completely changed the Constructors once again. McLaren now not scoring as many points, and they've lost 4 points here. This puts Red Bull back in the driver's seat for the Constructors' Championship. Yellow flag and a full course safety car. Is that for Arjan? No front wing for Arjan. And a full course safety car, and it's causing everyone to box. Soft tyres on the car. Top Gun stays out, and so does Joseph Hales. This could be the last minute drama maybe some were hoping for. Get a later call than that. Joseph Hales forced to be very defensive here. Here comes the restart. Will this be contact? Will this be a clean move? Move for the lead. And I know Wee's got soft tyres on, but that is a decent overtake. If that wins him the Grand Prix, and indeed the championship, you could not do it in a better manner. Truly fantastic overtake there into the first corner without contact. Granted, he did have quicker tyres on the car, but Joseph was thrown under the bus there by the safety car coming in so late. 3 laps remaining of this season. Mr. Wiggles looking for a move down the inside of Josh. Carito is up to 7th on those worn hard tyres during the last safety car. And as a result, he is really struggling on grip. And he's going to lose all hope of scoring points here tonight. Top Gun. Ambitious around the outside. Oh, and a bit of contact from Padge. Thankfully, didn't really affect Top Gun too much. But good defending from Joseph here, who is hoping to get on the podium in back-to-back Japanese Grand Prix. One on Tuesday night, if you remember. Plate is driven off into the distance, which won't mean too much as things stand. Josh is P5 and doing everything he needs to win the championship. It will be a minor miracle. Oh, and contact! And Killian! Oh my word. Killian almost caused a huge collision. TD with a time penalty. Killian! Oh, and Joseph lost it! Josh is now second. And this midfield fight. Kirito's up to P4. And Red Bull completely in control of the Constructors' Championship. 1 lap to go for the Constructors. If Josh makes any mistake, it will be Wii's Championship. But under huge pressure, Josh has delivered so many times before. Yellow flags for someone in Sector 1. TD. Not quite been his race. Not going to score points tonight. Deflated though. He came into this, lost out on pole position by less than a tenth of a second to Josh. He's done everything he needed to. He's bossed this race. He deserves to win. But here comes Josh. Round the final corner. And it's a 2-time for Josh. Back-to-back champions. Wiggles finishes on the podium. Top Gun in P4. Chaz in P5. Padge, Kirito, Killian, Fury. Smaller Smiley in the points. After choosing not to pit and doing 26 laps on the hard compound. Defends from Asthma Frog and Ice on the line. TD, well, thank you so much for doing some donuts. It has been an absolutely phenomenal season. Genuinely can't think of a more dramatic way to finish this season off. But it is Josh who wins the championship. It's commiserations. Deflated wins and gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But it is Josh who is champion. Let's think. McLaren have scored 41 points. Red Bull have scored 18 plus 6, 24. I can't remember what I said about McLaren. Oh my word. Chat needs to help me here. Right. Red Bull have scored 24 points. McLaren have scored 43. You know what? I think it's tied. I think it's a tie on points. Please correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I think the constructors are tied. Let's get these results out and confirmed. Not 43. Thank you. So Red Bull have won it by 2 points.